Next day or two. Narda, also in the Eastern Pacific, becomes a hurricane, the 8th hurricane of the Eastern Pacific season. We'll start briefly on Gabrielle because I want to focus mostly on the stream of our two possible other storms developing in the next several days. We're at 125-mile-per-hour wind, so just got the downgrade actually to a Category 3, so that hasn't been updated there, but it is moving very quickly to the east-northeast. There's Bermuda scooting far and far away from there. They just dodged a bullet with this one, not really getting any impacts at all from it, but still a very well put together system. Notice it is getting stretched out as it is getting some winds imparted on it on the upper levels from the west and southwest as it moves very quickly to the east-northeast. Track on this keeps it as a Category 3 probably for a little while longer and then down to a Cat 2 and then eventually becoming post-tropical or even extratropical as it moves north of the Azores and then again tracks near the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal by Sunday afternoon. Winds, excuse me, at that time down to 40-mile-per-hour winds, so likely an extratropical storm at that point in time. Brand new update here. We've got, since we talked yesterday, we've got two brand new invests, okay, investigative areas out in the Atlantic Basin. The one here farthest to the east was tagged first, so this is 93L. The new updates on this in the next 2 days, so 70% chance of becoming Humberto. 90% chance of Humberto in the next 7 days. You can see it here. It doesn't look all that impressive at this time. A little bit farther off towards the west here is Invest 94L. This is actually already impacting land with some tropical squalls, some gusty winds moving over the northern Leeward Islands, U.S. British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and eventually building its way into the southwest Atlantic right over the Bahamas. Chances for this developing into Imelda is 30% in 2 days, but up to now 70% over the coming week or so. And now that they have been tagged as investigative areas, we are starting to get some model outputs, some model solutions on what just may happen. Now, this is early in the game, and these models are really having a tough time deciphering the upper level steering, especially for 94L. It's going to be building its way off to the west-northwest. These go out 7 days, so we're out to next Tuesday, okay, on its potential location. If 94L is still around and does develop, it will just be barely off to the north here off the southeast coast of the U.S. Models are really all over the place. We've got a lot of divergence here because the upper level winds are very, very light, and pretty much it can just go anywhere. There's nothing really moving it in any general direction. There's going to be a big upper level low sitting over the southeastern United States. And depending on how strong that is, how far off to the east or west it is, it will determine if it does tug this off towards the north and does kind of threaten the southeast U.S. Now, 93L, this one is looking a little bit more likely to stay well offshore. You can see the tight clustering of the spaghetti plots here, at least like through about day 5. And then we do get a little bit of some divergence here. And if these two models do bring them close together, we could be dealing with something here of dual hurricanes in the same general vicinity, which is a special term for that. We'll get into that a little bit more here in just a minute. I want to show you here the operational models of the GFS and the European, though. We'll jump out in time. We'll go right on through the rest of this work week. And by Saturday, we start to see the European model in the red picking up on both developing. Okay, first it starts to develop 93L here. You can see this at this point in time, just well south of Bermuda as a hurricane maybe at that point. And then we've started to see some slow, gradual development here over the Bahamas of 94L. But watch what happens here as we go through the rest of the weekend into early next week. Then all of a sudden, we've got two hurricanes, according to the European model. There's Bermuda, 93L, which would be Humberto at this point, maybe threatening Bermuda. And we could have Imelda here sitting just to the north of the Bahamas, well east of the east coast of Florida. Then, all of a sudden, well, usually the GFS, last I saw, the GFS did pop up here, but looks like it's now refreshing its run. But it did show a similar storm here. Only one, though, on the GFS run that was kind of in between these two. So at this point, a week from now, this is what the European latest model run is showing. Is this absolutely going to verify? Probably not. There's a lot of time between now and then, a lot of model runs, 4 a day, 28 model runs to go before we get to this actually verifying. It's a possibility, but it's interesting to see two hurricanes in the same general region in the Atlantic, and this brings up a very interesting phenomena that happens. It's called the Fujiwara effect. I'm sure you've heard it before. It's rare, but it does happen. And this is when two hurricanes of similar strength, not exact similar strength, but similar they start to kind of orbit around a central point, and they actually do like a little dance. Now, contrary to popular belief, one doesn't like absorb the other and it becomes a major storm. Now, usually the stronger one does absorb the other one, but it doesn't like use up its energy to grow in strength and size. It'll just kind of destroy it because the wind shear is stronger from the other, kind of destroying the upper level winds on that storm there. So it doesn't create a bigger superstorm or anything like that, but it is just interesting to see how it plays out, how they start to move in strange directions. And that adds a whole nother level of uncertainty to the forecast here. If this does come into play, that could throw off the whole track if they both do develop. And we do see an instance of the Fujiwara. Now, both tropical waves now are within the realm of around 7 days out from being a potential threat from the U.S. based on the average storm movement in the Atlantic basin. So you've got 94L here, pretty much right at 7 days. And we're probably just outside of 7 days, actually, for 93L here if it was to drift off to the north and west. Both are moving rather slow at this point in time. All right, out in the eastern Pacific, we do have Narda. That's a Category 1 hurricane. Thankfully, this is staying well away from land. And yesterday, when we showed you the cone, it was heading pretty much due west. Now it does look to curve north and start to weaken. So it does peak at a Category 2 hurricane here in the short term, becoming the 8th hurricane of the season. They're now up to 14 named storms. And here's our scorecard, double the amount of named storms in the eastern Pacific than we have in the Atlantic so far at 7 with Gabrielle. We have had 2 hurricanes, and both of them became major. Gabrielle maxed at a Cat 4, and of course, Aaron was a Category 5. 8 hurricanes in the East Pac, 3 of those have become major hurricanes. All right, that's the latest on both basins. We'll be back after a quick break with Tropical Trivia. Welcome back to Hurricane Hub Live. Tropical trivia question from yesterday. Since 1851, there have been 125 tropical storms in the month of November. How many of those became hurricanes? Was it 1, 12, 63, or 114 of those 125? Correct answer, 63 hurricanes in the month of November. And you can see them all plotted here on the map. One thing you notice here is that we really start to see the main development regions shut down for business as you get towards the last month of the season and start to see much more development in the Caribbean, in the Southwest Atlantic, and even parts of the southern and southeastern Gulf there. So, I mean, it's not even October yet, but that's a look at what November has looked like in regard to hurricane development in the final month of the season. All right, today's question is, what was the intensity of the strongest hurricane ever in December? Yeah, there's been hurricanes in Cat 1, 2, 3, or 4. The answer tomorrow night on Hurricane Hub Live. A reminder, as we do start to see the development of Humberto and Imelda, we are here 7 days a week at 8 p.m. to bring you the latest updates. We'll see you back here tomorrow.